Welcome back to Lazy MMA, the best place for MMA picks on YouTube. I'm just going to get right into it. Last week's underdog pick in Marlon Oliveria was not a good pick. He did exactly what I was scared of that he was going to do. He came out really slow, looked terrible for the first two, picked it up in the third and looked like a world champion and lost a 29-28 UD. But that does not matter. I look forward. I don't look in the past. And for this week's picks, I am feeling absolutely great. So let's get right into it. For this week's underdog lock of the week, we are picking Jesus Aguilar at plus 185. Why am I picking Jesus Aguilar in this fight against Sumer Derji? And it's really simple. It's about who Sumer Derji is. It's about what he's capable of and what he's not capable of. We've seen Sumer Derji in the UFC for quite a while. This guy is a long, rangy, point-style striker who likes to manage his range, pop his shots, keep you a step behind at all times, and secure himself a decision victory. This guy has no threats whatsoever. However, we've seen this guy get taken down and subbed time and time again. He got subbed by Matt Schnell. He got subbed by Tim Elliott. Who hasn't subbed this guy? When you play his game, when you play at range, you will lose. You will lose a decision. That I have no doubt about. But Jesus Aguilar is not that guy. He's not that guy who's going to play it safe. He's not that guy who's going to pick his shots and get a step behind at all times. I know he has a 10-inch reach disadvantage, but I think that's another reason why I'm picking him here. Jesus Aguilar has target strength, ladies and gentlemen. And what I mean by that is this guy is explosive. This guy is reckless. This guy is willing to get hit in order to land his own shots. And when he lands his shots, the guy's got mustard in his hands. And I think that that's going to cause Sumer Derji to cover up, leaving him susceptible open for a takedown. And once he gets taken down by a guy like Jesus Aguilar, he's in a world of trouble, ladies and gentlemen. Jesus Aguilar can drag him into deep waters where he can land himself a knockout, where he can land himself a submission. It does not matter. This guy, Sumer Derji, is a kickboxer. He is not an MMA fighter. He does not have the grappling department to be in the UFC. And for that reason, we are locking in Jesus Aguilar plus 185. And I don't know why odds makers are disrespecting him here, ladies and gentlemen. This guy time and time again has been the underdog, and time again this guy has cashed. Even in his last fight against Luis Gruele, he was the same odds. He was a plus 170. And what happened? He came out there and outdogged Luis Gruele to a decision. But not in this fight. I'm not predicting a decision. I'm predicting a spectacular finish at UFC 326, Holloway versus Oliveria 2 for Jesus Aguilar. So let's get right into this week's most confident favorites. Guys, this week, a lot of the underdogs, I see so many routes for them to winning. And the guys who are favorites, I don't think they should be the odds that they are. But I do have 3 picks for you guys. I have utmost certainty. Number 1, let's go with Dante Johnson over Cody Brundage at minus 650. I know the price tag's high, guys. But this is the most confident favorites. I am trying to give you guys absolute locks and absolute winners here. You see, Dante Johnson is a shorter guy, stockier build for the middleweight division. This guy's a badass. This guy's strong. This guy's fast. He's explosive. He's a dual threat coming off his first sub win against Cedriquez Dumas. On the other side, Cody Brundage. This guy's been in the UFC forever. He's 11-8. He's not great. He's pretty shit, to be honest with you. But I did give this guy a lot of respect in my picks video because this guy does pose a lot of danger, but he does not have the skill set to compete in the UFC. And when he faces adversity, unfortunately, up until a certain point, this guy's going to crumble. He crumbles. And he does really well against long, rangy, pacing strikers. We saw that in his last fight against Cam Rouston, where he was able to break into Cam Rouston's range and land his own devastating shots against Cam Rouston. But Dante Johnson is not a long, rangy striker. Dante Johnson is not a guy who likes to take his time. Dante Johnson is going to be up in your face right as the bell goes off. Pause. And when he's up in your face right as the bell goes off, he's landing power bombs. He's landing takedowns. He's throwing everything at you, so much so that you're not able to think. And I think a guy like Cody Brundage taking this fight on 1 month short notice is terrible. I have no clue who his management is. I have no clue why he's doing this, especially against an up-and-coming dangerous guy like Dante Johnson. It makes no sense to take this fight. And I am saying that Dante Johnson's going to go out there and wipe the floor with Cody Brundage, unfortunately. And even though Cody Brundage oftentimes gives adversity to his opponents before losing, I don't think he's going to be able to give any adversity to a guy like Dante Johnson. I think Dante Johnson's going to come out there and knock him out in the very first round. Alrighty, let's move on to our next most confident pick, and this is one that's a little bit controversial. I'm going with Gregory Rodriguez at minus 160. I'll just take a sip of the Red Bull there, ladies and gentlemen, to absolutely lock in for this card. Listen, Gregory Rodriguez and Bruno Ferreira have fought before. I am not going to sit here and ignore that fact. They have fought before, and Bruno Ferreira was on short notice, and he knocked out Gregory Rodriguez in the very first fight, in the very first round. But since then, Gregory Rodriguez has been putting together some spectacular wins, some absolutely spectacular wins, knocking out Jack Hermanson, taking CLD to a decision, beating Roman Kopylov. This guy has put together a nice set of wins, with his only loss in these few years being Jared Cannonier in the fourth round, where he almost knocked out Jared Cannonier multiple times in the earlier rounds, but unfortunately his gas tank faded and he lost in the championship rounds. However, this is a 3-round fight. This is where Gregory Rodriguez excels, where both these guys excel to a degree. But listen, my boy Bruno Ferreira, he's great, he's dangerous, he's a dual threat. But I think the grappling aspect for this fight is negated. But hear me out. When the grappling aspect is negated, when someone is somewhat patient with Bruno Ferreira and does not allow him to break into range and have a firefight, Bruno Ferreira doesn't have much else. Look at his last fight against Marvin Vettori, where he won a controversial split decision against Marvin Vettori. Marvin Vettori is dog shit, ladies and gentlemen. All he has is a granite chin and a jab, and he just basically played it smart, managed range, and just popped out that jab at Bruno Ferreira, where Bruno Ferreira is not able to do his explosive, dangerous movements. And I think Gregory Rodriguez, considering that Bruno Ferreira has a lower center of gravity and likes to do those explosive movements, is going to manage range way better in this fight than he did in the very first fight. I don't think this is going to be a first-round knockout like it always is. I think he's actually going to play it smart and break down Bruno Ferreira by utilizing his range, by utilizing his length, by even utilizing his body kicks. Gregory Rodriguez is an explosive, heavy-hitting guy, and I think breaking down Bruno Ferreira's body, he's going to be able to land up top, and I think that Bruno Ferreira is unfortunately going to crumble in this fight. I think Gregory Rodriguez, his height, his strength, and his improvement is going to be a little bit too much for Bruno Ferreira. I think that Gregory Rodriguez has fought substantially better competition, and I think he's going to come out there, make a statement for the middleweight division, and let them know who he is, and that it is his time to take over. And that's why we're locking in Gregory Rodriguez at minus 160. Moving on, we are going to pick Raul Rosas Jr. at minus 270. So why am I picking Raul Rosas Jr. in this fight at minus 270? It's very, very simple. This is a stylistic nightmare matchup for a guy in Rob Font. Listen, Rob Font, he's got great dirty boxing. This guy's got good clinch work, but he has terrible, terrible takedown defense. If you remember that 5-round fight with my boy Corey Sandhagen, he was taking down left, right, and center. You know what's something to note? Corey Sandhagen had a broken hand. He had one broken hand. He was one-handedly taking down my boy over and over and over and over again. Rob Font couldn't do anything. And Raul Rosas Jr., here's the thing about Raul Rosas Jr. When he's on the ground, his transitions are slick. His sub-threats are consistent. His ground and pound is devastating. This guy is on the ground trying to finish you at all times. He's not on the ground scoring points. He's not on the ground doing bullshit or having positional advantages. This guy's on the ground trying to submit you. And when you over-scramble, when you over-commit to trying to get out of the bottom position, he will lock up a sub. I think that he is going to be relentless with his grappling, and I think that Rob Font will have no answer for that grappling, and I think that eventually Raul Rosas Jr. is going to lock up that submission. And here's another thing to consider. Rob Font is almost 39 years old. In 2 months, he's turning 39 years old. The miles have added up. His chin is dust. His grappling defense has always been terrible. And this is a time for a young buck like Raul Rosas Jr. to come in there, make a statement, and get into those rankings. And let's get into our notable mentions for some other underdogs. Starting off our notable mentions, I'm going to keep it clean. I'm going to keep it old-fashioned. I'm going to keep it without love. We are locking in Cody No Love Garbrandt at plus 135. Why am I picking him over Zhao Long? This is very, very simple. This is an inexperienced fighter taking on a veteran savvy striker in a match where he's just going to be outclassed. Listen, Long Zhao, he's been in the UFC in and out. He's fought on the road to UFC against these Asian guys. We know what he's capable of. We know what he's not capable of. This guy's not a guy who's going to introduce the grappling or has a sub threat. This is a guy who likes to wing heavy shots, trying to find that knockout shot against his opponent. But when he wings those knockout shots, he is way too reckless. He is way too disorganized. He is way too unclean. And a guy like Cody Garbrandt, that uppercut counter is there. It's money all night long. I think he's going to be way too skilled. I think he's going to be way too composed and way too clean for a guy like Zhao Long. And I think that when Zhao Long overcommits to one of these strikes, I think that Cody Garbrandt is going to knock his lights out. Let me take out the Zin. I think that he's going to knock his lights out. I think if he's going to knock his lights, that's going to be in the second or third round after a little bit of frustration for Zhao Long, where he's going to even more commit to his strikes. And I think that he's going to leave himself open to counters. And even if Cody Garbrandt is not able to knock him out, I think he's just going to be cutting angles and placing his hands on Zhao Long all night long. And I wouldn't even be surprised if Cody Garbrandt decides to introduce a takedown of his own to further wear down Zhao Long. And for that reason, we are locking him in at plus 135. And I think that he is not getting any love. So he's befitting of the name of no love, but we are picking him here on this channel at plus 135. And now we're going to our last notable mention underdog of the card. And I was tossing and turning all night long for who I was going to pick, but I have to go with my gut instinct. And my gut instinct is telling me RDR, Reiner D. Ritter, at plus 200 odds. He's going to take on Caio Borralho. And let me tell you why I'm going to pick RDR. Regardless of what happens in this fight, before I even give you a stylistic matchup, RDR should not be plus 200. RDR is a former double champion in another organization. RDR was on a 5-fight win streak against notable names like Robert Whittaker, against Bo Nickel, until he had his eventual biological loss against Brendan Allen in the third round in UFC Vancouver. Let me tell you this, he lost that fight because of his body. So why is this guy plus 200? The recency bias is insane. Listen, guys. I get Caio Borralho is a great grappler of his own. I get that Caio Borralho might have the striking advantage in this fight. And even if he does have a striking advantage, it's minimal. But I think that RDR's relentless grappling pressure is going to be too much for Caio. I don't think he's going to be able to finish Caio, because Caio does have great submission defense. But I think that Caio is just going to get over-swamped by the sheer amount of takedowns that a guy like RDR is going to bring in on him. And RDR is not the type of guy who's shooting doubles and singles and over-committing to takedowns. He's the type of guy who engages in the clinch, lands knees up the middle, and eventually judoko throws you to the ground, where he's able to get transitional position over you in the fight. And I think that this is going to be a nitty-gritty fight, and we are really going to see whose heart is going to show in this fight. But I think that RDR's skill, his experience, and his ability to mix it up is going to be a little bit too much to Caio, where I think he's going to be able to edge out a decision. I would not be surprised if Caio steals a round off of him, because as I said, he does have the striking advantage. But I think eventually RDR is going to take over. I think he's going to be hurting Caio to the body, which is going to make it easier to take him down. And I think that the optics are going to be terrible. And I think that eventually the judges are going to give him the nod. Plus 200 is ridiculous, guys. At this point, it's free money. Call up the bank. Tell them the mortgage is being paid off tomorrow. This is fucking ridiculous, guys. Plus 200. What are these odds makers doing? Well, this has been my best bets of the card for UFC 326 Oliveria versus Holloway 2. That's taking place in Las Vegas, Nevada at the T-Mobile Arena. This has been Lazy MMA, guys. Lazy analysis, serious results. I cannot wait. Have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.